keys are one. I don't know. You know, my noise or something.
Two baby lanes is right here.
Yeah. Miss Catherine will have her glasses. Miss Catherine, I'm gonna get Lane to take them so you got your glasses.
Okay.
All right, guys, we'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Thomaston Downtown Development Authority to order. Start with roll call. Ms. Coggins.
Here.
Mr. Davis, excuse. Ms. Angie.
Here.
Ms. Ashley.
Here.
Mr. Head. Ms. Catherine.
Here.
And Ms. Elizabeth.
Here.
All right. Next on the agenda, we're going to go ahead and call for the approval of the minutes from March 17th. Have any questions, concerns? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve these minutes?
A motion.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, next on the agenda, we're going ahead and adopt today's agenda. I don't have anything else to add. Any questions, concerns, anybody else need to add anything to it? All right, I get a motion to approve today's agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Is that?
All right, all those in favor? All right, our first piece of business today is the facade grant application for Columbus Signs and Lighting. No worries. So Ms. Tammy Herring here, they are actually going to be expanding into the building at 500 North Center Street. So this is the former Stevens Tire and Auto, Country Cupboard, Aqua Unlimited. Ms. Tammy they've come before HPC. They've already got their rendering approved. They're asking for the full $5,000. I believe the last piece of information I provided you guys with was the total cost for their facade renovation, which was just over $12,500. This would include 2 new signs, painting of the building, a new awning. Anything else?
What
What are all you guys going to be doing to the
the
building?
awning, the signs, and painting.
Okay, so painting the exterior walls, a 3-color combination, installing a new bronze awning, and then installing the new 60 by 138 wall sign, and then the little sign on the pole as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Which we didn't do the artwork, well, I didn't send you the renderings on that only because it was not.
Kind of got the little, it just says signs. And are you guys going to be, opening a lighting studio there, or is it just going to be closed to the public, or what are you guys doing?
No, you'll be able, people will be able to come in and out.
So we'll have a retail type
Yes.
establishment.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And then Miss Tammy does not own this building, but she does have a letter in here from Miss Dana Holloway, who does own it, saying that she approves their request to paint the exterior of the building, install a new wall sign, and install the new awning. What do you guys think?
I got a question.
Yeah, of course.
We originally were looking at bronze awnings,
Okay.
but the material is lighter than what we wanted. And so it's not exactly, you're gonna have like the light brown, the brown trim of the building and the brown at the bottom, but the awning is gonna be a totally,
Okay.
we were thinking about going with black awnings, would that be a problem?
We would just have to do a change order. With I think you submitted
Because
this, the
you-
awning, painted black awning installation is on here.
And that's what we had planned to do, but when we got the material, the sample.
And the color variations between what you're painting it and what it's going to
Yeah.
be.
And so the black will actually bring out the sign more, it's got black on the sign, so it'll kind of tie all it together without having way too many different browns and kind of
Are you
flash.
going to paint the whole building or just that front part?
We're supposed to paint all the way to where Paige actually has his part, but he's actually wanting to paint his section the same color.
Okay.
And I don't know if they were coming to y'all or not. They haven't said one way or the other. So I'll just get with him before we actually do it, and if he wants to do it, and he wants to come to y'all, we won't do anything until all that's done. If he don't, he says do it, then we'll just paint it off. because we'll go all over the back of the building.
So this cost is paint supply cost, paint labor,
It's just our portion of it, so.
okay,
Paige
up
will
to
pay-
where his area starts.
And then
Okay.
we'll do whatever.
Okay.
You know, on that part later.
Tammy, tell me
Yes.
a little bit about your business and how long you've been in business, and is it a Columbus company that you're branching out over here?
No, we actually live here, so
Yeah.
we started in Columbus, because at the time Scott was working in Columbus.
Mhm.
So we figured it would just be easier to just base it in Columbus. We had a little office there, you know, a lot bigger town. But then by the time, I didn't want to drive to Columbus every day, I'll just be honest with you. So we decided just to put the business here, but we'd already established the name, so we just left it. So we do lighted signs, vinyl graphics, banners, I mean, pretty much anything you want, we can do it. It's, you know, illuminated, non-illuminated, any channel letters, anything like that.
And you started when?
2010.
2010. Good.
You guys own the white building, or y'all lease the
We're
white?
renting it from Paige, well, yeah,
That's the old
They
supply
own the
store
whole
right there beside the
property.
waterworks.
right, they own the whole
Yeah.
lot, so we just rent it off from them.
Gotcha. And then the little building, you're not gonna be using that little building.
He's wanting to tear it down, but you know,
Okay.
what becomes of that, when it comes, since he's got to pay permits and all that,
Yeah.
I don't know when that'll happen.
There's a process. I got you.
I'm reading on I'm Lane Coggins, by the way. And I'm glad y'all are gonna be filling up that space. It's a great space, and I wouldn't wanna drive to Columbus every day either. There's no easy way to get there. I'm sure you know our role here on the DDA is to, we're trying to really do a lot of good, changes, and we're really focusing on our downtown area, which y'all certainly fall inside of. And I can appreciate y'all, coming to really look at this extensively with regard to your sign. Couple of questions, and I look at this. I'm more of an artistic, creative brain than I am anything else. I'm noticing you've got your sign an LED illuminated sign. Did we talk about?
It is approved within the DDA district, within the historic district. That's not allowed. She's outside the historic district, so that would be
Okay.
permitted.
Okay. And then the colors, have you got paint samples of your
We
colors?
have not, we've just been kind of going through the colors. We finally found the colors, and I didn't think to bring those with us. It was sitting on the desk in the office, but we had picked out some colors that are kind of like the colors on here, maybe a little bit richer looking, because we want to make sure it looks good. We're not going to put anything out there that's.
I think to be consistent with the other applications that we've taken to date, we have requested their paint sample
Okay, we can do that.
colors.
We can do
So
that.
that would be my recommendation.
As well as a definitive with the awning and any price change that would come about from changing the color of the awning
Yeah, the
or
price won't change.
material. The
Yeah,
price
I've got a
is the same.
sample of the awning here. I did bring that with me. And it's just a black.
And it's the same as the bronze.
Yes, the same as the bronze, it's just a different color. This is just for the black instead of going with the brown, that was just too many different.
Tammy, let me ask you, we don't allow the illuminated and that type of
Historic
thing
district.
in the historic district. And I kind of like for things as much as we can to be a bit consistent. Let me ask you, are you totally sold and you've chosen to be LED illuminated? Are you totally sold on that? Or tell me your reasons for wanting to have that, because it's a big, nice sign, but you.
The reasoning is because we're a sign company. We want to show what
You can
we're actually capable of doing, and we can't really show all that if we're going with just a plain sign. If there's no illumination in it, it's going to be a very, low wattage LED. So it's not going to just like
Blind
blind you.
drivers.
Right, yeah, definitely not. It's not going to do that, but we want to be able to show everybody what we can do. And I feel like if we don't do illuminated signs, then
They're gonna assume you can't do illuminated
Exactly.
signs.
And what about your color choice on the red and the yellow?
we had done a B Turner's in auburn, and it was more of a burgundy, and it looked really good on that building. And I don't have a picture of that, but I can send y'all one. And their building colors was almost the same. I think their background might have been a little bit darker. And Scott just liked the color. He wanted something different, something that would, get everybody's attention. This is a sign company, this is where you need to come, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody saw that.
So it's burgundy, not like fire red.
It's not going to be fire red, I don't believe. It's not going to really be a burgundy, but it's not a fire red from my understanding. And he had to go and load a truck pulled up at the time we get ready to do this. So.
Is this the logo that you've been using since 2010? So
yes,
except for the color?
Except for the colors, yeah,
Okay.
that's the same logo.
Good deal.
And let me repeat what Lane said. Thank you for being willing to be located. I agree. I was talking to somebody else the other day about the drive to Columbus, which I cannot stand. And somebody said, well, it's as easy as the drive to Griffin, I'm saying.
Really?
Really? But my main thing is to say thank you.
Appreciate it. We've been in the other buildings, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and we've never gotten a sign just because we just didn't feel like it had a good storefront presence, I guess, what you want to say. So when we got this building, he's like, we need to get a sign up here now, and I'm ready to put a sign up. I want it to look good, and we just couldn't really come up with something to put in that other building just because it just didn't have the presence that this one's got.
My other thing is the 2 signs, because I have been held to it. I know multiple others, and sitting on this board have been held to it. We have only been permitted to have 1 sign. So I know there's a poll here for a sign.
So again, the signs, the way they work within the historic district versus the way they work just within the DDA district, there's differences. So within the DDA district, this is permitted. Within the historic district, it is not.
To have 2 signs outside.
Yes, within the DDA district like that. There's enough space in between that pole sign and the signage on the company. It ties back when the sign, that's tying back into the footage between this sign and this sign. It's a distance requirement. But they're different between, the historic district is a little more stricter than the DDA district because we are trying to create this environment within the historic district.
So let me ask you, I heard him say, in the historic district, right there where Boba Drinks and all them's going,
Yeah.
we cannot have lighted signs.
No.
Okay, that helps a lot. He's been working on that today, so.
No. It can be, similar to the way Hometown's doing their new sign. They're
Gotcha.
putting lights above to light it
Down
from
lights,
above.
okay,
It can be lit from below,
Okay.
something, but it can't be an illuminated sign.
Perfect. Okay, that helps a lot because we've been working on that, and I know she was wanting that, and I know I'm getting off subject, but I just, while we're here, I needed to,
Sure,
because
we
he's
want
working on
clarification.
artwork, so I
And
need to.
it could be something
Okay.
where honestly, since we've had some sign changes in the past, in the past year, we've done some sign ordinance changes. It could be something where we've had some town hall meetings on a couple other things that we do want on signage and what you can do with signage, what's permitted within the historic district, what's permitted within the DDA
Okay.
district, and then what's not. That way we can kind of get some clarification and address some of your concerns. Maybe we look at doing something like that.
Okay, and I think he just pulled back up because my phone went off, so I can get him on that color for the red.
Staff recommendation would be to approve the facade grant contingent upon Ms. Tammy getting us those colors, those paint colors, and let's reviewing those and making sure that we believe they'll work.
I don't know if we can approve contingently if we don't know exactly what we're approving as far as,
I think I've got a sample in my car. They're not the colors, I can call and get the colors. I think they're on the table in the office. I can call Keith and get it. But I think I've got a color chart in my car. I just gotta make sure it comes, I have 2 color charts in the office. I don't know if it comes off one or both. So if I got a minute, I'll call and see.
Go ahead. So the awning,
where's the awning?
Oh,
it's gonna go right. It's gonna go right across from here all the way to here.
So that's the
Oh,
awning?
good.
Okay.
Yes, that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Where's the awning?
Here to here. Coming out facing
the table, the desk.
North Center. So not on the front of the building, but on the side of the building
I
right
don't
there.
want to approve 2 signs.
I don't think
Again, there's a difference between the historic district and the DDA district.
Is there a way that we can pull that policy up? Because because
You see the
I think
picture of
this-
the building facade with the sign on it and everything, and we've got some color.
unless it's going to be fine for.
Or we need to table this to discuss further.
Yeah, exactly.
We can do that.
If we have one out and one flat, and that's consistent for everyone, that would be different.
There's no drawing on the second sign. Does it say what it is?
Maybe it's good, I'll see you. Okay, all right, I'll call them.
And this doesn't appear to currently be a sign, so we're
It's there.
converting it to a
I
sign.
mean, it's just, no, the pole is there, there just isn't a sign on the pole. The pole's been there. I think the pole was originally for this one.
This is more of a distraction to their actual sign. It would be better without.
Yeah, I think the way she spoke on the illuminated sign, I think it's the same. She wanted to showcase they can do both.
I agree
Illuminated
with
and
her on the
non-illuminated.
illuminated sign. I'm totally fine with that. The thing, I'm with Lane on the double signage. It would be different if it were like cutting out like that, so where you can see it when you're driving by, and then have one like on the front, if it was from different angles, but it's literally like the sign in front of the sign. So, but it being illuminated, I agree with them, because it's what they do. You wanna showcase what you do,
Most definitely.
so.
Do we have enough to vote, or we're gonna come back around to it?
I was gonna let her grab those color palettes if you want to.
I think
I was gonna show you guys kind of what it, I mean, y'all know what it kind of looks like right there.
I swear Taylor will not be difficult.
No, I know you
It's
are.
just,
So-
if it's gonna be for everyone, it needs to be.
We did that request Baby Lanes to give us some examples.
Let me ask you, this sign
Yes.
is gonna be on that
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
And we had a definitive markup for Baby Lanes as well, like exactly what to expect, and that's what she produced as well.
The sad thing is just to this side, in my opinion, it makes it look so busy. With boom, 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 it's like, I don't know why.
Say that. Let's say that. Let's tell her that.
I mean, it's not as appealing to me to see,
Again,
you know, and then maybe they're wanting to do examples of what they can do, but
Well, that's what a showroom is for.
like I said, it would be different if it were at a different angle, and you're coming from that building from a different angle, and you don't know what you're
But
looking
it's all
at.
coming from
To have a
19
sign, but it's all
north.
coming from the same direction, so you have a sign in front of the sign.
and you've got one horizontal sign, one vertical sign, and it just looks weird.
I think we need to make a motion about what we're gonna do.
I do sympathize with the fact that that's their business. They want to do it.
He's trying to get it.
Again, like I said, I'm cool with the lights. Up here, like the lights backlit, done. And we can't really say anything because it's within ordinance.
yeah.
We can't say anything about that, it's within ordinance.
Is it
Which
possible?
is odd to me, because historically you would not have a lighted
So we
sign.
can't say anything about that because it's within ordinance.
It is. It is. Ms. Tammy, I think they have some concerns, the board has some concerns about the double signage. I think that's more of the concern over the paint colors, simply because, you know, coming 19 north as you are, it's kind of sign and then sign. It's back to back, and it's to us it's a little.
Busy.
Well, I think the reason he didn't want to go with just putting the name Columbus Signs again, because it was that way. That's why he turned around and put, sorry, I'm trying to get the paint colors.
No.
Hold on a minute. That's why he ended up putting the word just sign. He says, so when somebody's coming down here, if they don't see the Columbus signs or don't catch that, then they see the word sign on that pole.
I think
and
that's what their
they'll-
concern is. They're not. I think the board's concern is they're not going to see the Columbus signs because of the word signs.
It's above it. Because they're allowed 35 to 35
They are.
feet
Yes,
in
ma'am.
that area. So it'll be above the other one. So that's the reason I think he did it that way, so that it wouldn't block the other one, but it wouldn't be the same exact as the other one either. John?
Yes.
Okay, what color is it?
So I make the next motion.
Say
She's
that
got the
again?
colors.
Okay. 60, 78? Okay. Say that again? Spell it.
I just said it. I wasn't on the board this time, but when Baby Wings,
Yeah, we have colors.
Oh, okay. What's the number one?
Paint colors, and everything listed to me.
And it was a
60,
rendering
78,
with the
67.
colors.
Right.
All right, all you need to tell me to get paper, bring both those color charts back. Okay, and give him the paperwork. He's on the way. All right. Yes, sir.
Can I just make a comment? So, to me, if I look at how that is, and I know y'all do good work, it just looks, if I'm coming north and look, it looks a little bit odd to me with that higher vertical sign and behind it a horizontal sign. To me, you know, it's a little bit, it's just a little bit awkward or distracting. I feel like when I come there, if I didn't have that first sign, I think the colors in your second sign are going to be very, I mean, they're going to be very attractive to my eyes, that I'm going to see that. If I've got that other, am I going to, you know, it comes off as a bit busy and is a bit somewhat awkward to me with a vertical and then right behind it a horizontal.
And that's the reason he did it vertical, was because if he done it horizontal, it would be too much exactly the same. He wanted it to be different.
Unless you just had the one big sign behind it.
How about,
And he wanted to
we don't
utilize that sign.
is there any way that we can mix the cost of that vertical sign from this facade grant?
It's not, the vertical sign's not even on there. That cost is not there.
And she's
Because I thought the grant was only for buildings anyway, not for the road sign.
Signage in general. So the vertical
Gotcha.
sign cost is not included on this facade grant. Okay.
So, I mean, we can't really say anything because it's within ordinance, and as long as it's not on the grant,
Yeah,
it's
we're
not
not
up to
on
us to.
Have these signs already been approved? She got permits for both of
She
them?
hasn't got permits yet because we haven't, but she has met with John prior to submitting anything with HPC.
I still propose that we be consistent with what we asked of our other applicants. That's the right thing to do.
Where's the paint colors?
Mhm.
He's coming back with them. We've got the colors, but he's
To the
bringing
end
the
of
actual charts.
meeting, if he's here in time.
Yes.
50%.
Yes.
All right, we'll table this until the end of the meeting. If he's here in time, we can look at it. If not, we'll push it to the next meeting, okay?
He should be here.
So I get a motion to table this till the end of the meeting.
I make a motion to table it
I'll
until the
second.
end.
And I'll
All the-
second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Okay. Next on the agenda, I wanted to kind of discuss a couple things. Number one, as you can see on the screens, I've included a a rendering of a proposal for the Thomaston courtyard. You also have it in your agenda packets. Ms. Anna Jordan, a local student who's a landscape architecture student at UGA, has been working with us the past couple months on trying to finalize some type of plan for this back of alley space. This was presented to the property owners last Friday, and there was some discussion that was had as far as concerns. I provided a little note on that second page, kind of, what those concerns were. I really just kind of want to bring this up and get feedback from you guys so I can give Anna some feedback on how to proceed. The big thing for this is we have the opportunity to apply for the Rural Downtown Redevelopment Grant to help make this project along with a downtown farmers market possible. This could be in excess of $2.5 million of a grant that we're looking to apply for. So the goal is to finalize some type of plan for this alley space as well as our farmers market by the June 3rd deadline to apply for the grant. So as you can see, a lot of what we're doing with this parking lot, the goal is to kind of activate the pedestrian back of alley space. Currently in this area, the city owns the parking lot area, and then basically where all these numbers are, we own straight up and then everything to the left. The property behind where number 8 is, that is Dave Piper at Fund 101, and then the property where 1310, that is Melissa Lane with Baby Lanes. So the only way this project, the full scope of this project could be realized would be those property owners working with us on some type of easement. Nonetheless, whether or not they do intend to work with us on some type of easement for those properties to make some enhancements, we do intend to apply for this grant, and we would like to finalize something over the next month. So I did want to get some feedback from you guys, what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see, what you think we need to work on. Some of the things that we talked about in the meeting on Friday were delivery zones potentially. We're actually looking to take about 10 parking spots from this DDA parking lot to make it more pedestrian friendly. So we discussed, where delivery zones could be. Could it be something that we establish a delivery zone, beside West Georgia Bank? Could it be something we decide, establish a delivery zone, beside English's, and then we allow those delivery drivers to kind of park and then roll down the alley to our restaurants, our businesses back in this area. Dumpsters and trash compactors. So I did a mobilized Main Street session in the city of Ackworth, and they use trash compactors in their back of alley spaces. So this was discussed as a potential remedy to address some of the illegal dumping in this area, as well as just the nuisance that open dumpsters have with smells and just dumpsters. Parking. Russell and I actually spoke with Mr. Nick Patel this morning about potentially working out some kind of deal on this old Cook's Market parking lot. Something along the lines of we would go in there, restripe it, repave it, clean it up, do some type of enclosure for his dumpster, and then put wayfinding signage to make that public parking. It's open right now, but people don't realize, hey, this is public parking you can park at. And there's an additional 35, 40 spots in that parking lot right there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where is that?
So the original Cook's Market parking lot. So you think about that, that section behind Windstream, Hightower Street, that little section on the back side of Cook's. So there's about 30, 40 parking spots right there. If you go in there and you restripe it, put some wayfinding signage, clean that up, that's a nice downtown public parking area that kind of ties into our downtown farmers market as well, where we're looking to add additional 20 to 30 parking spots.
I was just looking at this, and Nick is,
Cook's.
yeah, but Nick owns that, right?
Cook's, yeah, Nick Mattel owns
And
Cook's.
he's willing to,
He said that he was open to it, so Russell's going to get him some stuff over,
and we would be renting.
potentially leasing it, where he could obviously still use it for his business, but it would be identified as public parking in downtown. We would take over, clean it up, because it does need some cleanup. You can go and just restripe it, make it look like a nice city parking lot with some nice wayfinding signage to let people know, maybe some lights down there so that it's well lit at night if we're going to have events in downtown Thomaston at night. We need some areas that have nice lighting where you feel safe and comfortable parking your vehicle there and not worried about it getting broken into. And a lot of that just safety comes back with lighting. If you have an area that's well lit, a lot of that, those acts kind of diminish. Grease traps was also a discussion, with the way the grease traps are currently in that area, and with the opportunity to apply for a grant, there was discussion about in the grant proposal including potentially putting grease traps in place for our restaurants that are currently there. So burying them. Currently, the grease, you're not allowed to actually have the grease traps, the big containers anymore. The law now is you have to have them either, I think it's a sink tap, or you have to do it in the ground. So with this grant proposal, we could actually bury these grease traps rather than having them out in the open, which would honestly make this area a lot nicer. And then lighting and then electrical cleanup was another thing that was discussed, and getting with Neil to look at, what kind of cost it would be to clean up the electrical wires behind these areas, really just make it a safer area when it comes to there's a lot of hanging just wires and little.
I had something.
Please,
too.
please.
And I know there's a few other plant enthusiasts here, but the crepe myrtles where they're located is going to be a big problem down the road. I think that is a terrible choice.
Okay.
Just terrible choice. We've already got a crepe myrtle problem.
We do.
I don't feel like we need to plant any more crepe myrtle problem.
What do you think about those little Japanese cherry blossom trees?
They're not going to get as bad as those crepe myrtles.
Would you be
They will be
better, worse?
close to being as bad as.
Oh, you think so? Okay, so maybe like totally different plants. Because those crepe myrtles, they don't stay tiny and they create a huge mess.
They're gorgeous to admire from a distance, but you do not want them at your front door or your back door. Trust me.
They definitely call
And that
But-
close to that fountain, they're
Yeah.
gonna be massive.
I could have sworn I heard somebody that was one of the garden club people say, Doug, you can have crepe myrtles that are smaller. But the type that we've got have presented a problem.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, and I think all over town, we gotta always think carefully about what plant are we gonna do? And is it a hardy plant that's
Yeah.
gonna do well? But is it also, what is the maximum height of it? And what is, is it gonna help or hurt the people that are behind that thing? But let me just say that at that meeting the other day, Anna, number one, she did beautiful work, and her presentation was A+. And I think the good thing about public meetings like that is I think she just did a jam-up job. I think what you learn from that is that as beautiful as it is, there's some practical issues that we got to deal with. And I think we could have, or I hope that we could have 80% of what's there and have to modify it. And I hope, really hope and expect the people who, are gonna leave their place more like it is. I hope that they would join in and really do as much as they can to make it clean and nice and all that. But I think I just love the fact if this could look like this, but there are some issues with delivery. There are some issues with the number of parking spaces. If we had another more space to expand that, it would be nice. But Anna did a great job, and
Where did the little deliveries, where did they come in?
They kind of just pull in right now, right? They kind of just pull in the parking lot and unload.
So what's the problem? So I don't understand what the problem is then. They can still pull in.
well, a good example is Elizabeth Y'all's place is because you've got.
Well, I think based off of this, it's where they're going to be and then how we're going to get them to where they need to be. But she did draw a loading zone, but it includes some businesses that aren't necessarily in favor of this. So then it's how do we still access the plan that she has, or do we come up with a new plan to still have our deliveries? Because some of those businesses aren't going to allow some of that space to possibly be used for that purpose.
And maybe when we get to the end, she could modify this and say, here's what it does.
Yep. I mean, would you guys, I'm assuming you guys wouldn't be opposed to the idea of having the delivery zones on the sides where they could kind of just unload and then come down that alleyway down into the courtyard. And that would suffice for you guys.
Do your deliveries come at the same time? They're just whenever?
Yeah.
I was just wondering if we marked off a parking place, if we put delivery zone from this time to this time or something, but that won't work.
You were at their mercy. You get it when you get it. I'm learning that
You
already.
just hold your breath.
Yes.
You just hope you get it.
And any difficult loading zone my experience of learning is they may opt, we can't deliver to you, which would be devastating to some of these businesses. So it's not just, it's a real issue, I think, for some of these businesses. We've got to make that part work.
Yeah.
But this is phenomenal, and I think it is something to get excited about. I mean, this doesn't even look like Thomaston, Georgia. So this is fantastic, and I think this is the first drawing. So,
Yes.
I mean, I know, and you know, when you're building a house or building a property, there's always opportunities to make compromises and go back to the drawing board. And so I think you're saying we've got that option to
Yes, of course.
to make
This
a lot of
is
this
not
work.
this is not set in stone, but we do want to definitely work together to try to figure out something that does work and it pleases as many people as possible because we want this space to be a functional space that our businesses want to use.
I have another question as far as grease traps go. Just looking at this diagram and expecting small children to be back here, I would love to have kids utilize this space. These need to be locked. So have we talked to the local? Because if all our restaurant owners are going to be using these traps, we need to have something in place that is extremely secure.
So if
Because-
they're-
They'd be underground.
yeah, they'd be buried.
But there would need to be a lock to be able to get to them. They're completely underground. There's not something you
Well,
live.
like gas, there's a small hole.
You would.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, they just kind of run. They just kind of run a.
And where would they be located behind?
It would be located up under your seating area, up under the alleyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'd all be one
right behind.
right behind.
Honestly, one could probably install for both restaurants.
So this isn't something that the public's even
You'll
going to be
never
able to
see
see.
You wouldn't
never
even
know it's
notice
there.
it was there.
Okay, good deal.
So and
Alright.
if we can make this work, the goal would to not only be able to bury the grease traps, but also try to bury any kind of electrical lines. Really, let's go back in here and clean up as much as we can of our infrastructure that's kind of just hanging there. And if we can, establish a model here, this could be something that we could then work with on every single alleyway, every single back of business space, north side, west side, east side, where there are hanging lines kind of in there, where we need grease traps, whatever it is. If we can kind of build the model here and then have that as a transferable, we know what to do, we know what not to do. Let's continue to do the same type of investment along the rest of the square.
My concern is what would the cost of all that be? And I'm on the city council. I am super supportive of making this town look better, but there will be concern about it.
Definitely.
I love the idea that you get rid of the receptacles that where the grease is now and get it underground would be awesome. That wouldn't be an option for every place in
No.
town, but
What's required? The thing is, that's a requirement now. Like you can't get the grease traps that are above ground anymore. It has to be either a sink trap, or it has to be a buried trap. And if we're gonna have the opportunity to apply for this $1 million for this area, let's try to make it as best as we can make it. And if we receive, $600,000 for it, whatever it may be, we can do as much as we can. But if there's some free money out there and we have the opportunity to apply for it,
Just the grease trap install is about $25,000
Yeah.
right there.
So
That would
like,
be the grease. That's not including repaving the road back.
Yeah.
But to install the grease trap, through permits, those kind of things, would be roughly $25,000.
And you were saying like on the side parking for deliveries, would that suffice, do you think, for those businesses? Because I think, or would that be,
Some that do that.
I think
I
that's.
think-
I would
mean, that's-
suggest that.
Yeah.
personally.
Some would rather do that than try to navigate.
It'd be easier, kind of just if you're coming up 19, kind of just pull right there beside Western
I
Georgia.
would suggest blocking those spaces off, like she said, for amount of time, maybe from 8 to 4. Trust me, they'll start getting your deliveries between 8 and 4 if they have to navigate traffic. But I would say block off the entire road beside West Central Georgia Bank, and they unload, come right down the alleyway to every business in this area. And then you guys have been talking to Nick, so nobody can really complain about losing those 3 spaces if you can walk 25 yards and get the 3 spaces back. So I think that would be probably the most reasonable way to handle that. And the only truck that would pull in the back at all would be your trash truck.
Yeah. And if we can get those, if the compactor works, you know, you might not even have to have this big area for the trash. You know, the compactor that Ackworth had was literally maybe a 5 by 6, you know, 6 feet tall, had a roll-up door, and then every business that was kind of around the area had access to that compactor. They had the code to that compactor to utilize it. Yes, ma'am.
Sounds like that compactor also would be secure, like you said,
It would.
you know, unlike how it's wide open now.
For illegal dumping.
And also, you know, from Anna's standpoint and a variety of comments, is that's just a first draft.
Yeah.
That is just a window into seeing the potential for seating and landscaping and a place to socialize and entertainment and dining and all that from that standpoint. So, I mean, if that's totally switched around, Anna is open to whatever y'all need.
No, we're very
happen
appreciative
there.
for Anna's hard work on
But,
this.
yeah, I mean, that can totally be changed. And I agree with what you're saying about some of the, you know,
'Cause-
issues with both types of the crepe myrtles and the trees.
Because it will develop into an infrastructure issue later on that the city will have no choice but
Right.
to, just for something to be pretty.
It will kill
So
that gorgeous
that-
I
house.
thought we were the
Completely
Crepe
changed.
Myrtle City. I thought that's what we were discussing, and not that I want them, okay? I'm not advocating for them, but we need to cut all those down going down the highway, but I'm just.
I have a
you know.
love-hate relationship with them. I really do. They are beautiful when they are in bloom, but very shortly after that, the blooms. I mean, it's like I
And
call
those
it
little black things fall off.
something falls off of them year round.
And
They never stop.
Again, I think, gosh, in the future, we do need to be very knowledgeable and involve people from, you know, from the Garden Globes and stuff, because there's some things that just need more space. And a perfect example is the magnolia tree that's up on the square. Should have never really been planted, but it did, and it grew forever, you know, and now it blocks and
And
causes
those
issues.
shrubs that they had planted in the divider out at north side, those poor
Yeah.
little things, that is going, that's way too many
Yeah.
shrubs in one spot.
One thing I think we learned in the hearing the other day, though, was that the owner of Baby Lanes is staunchly opposed to that her space being used for anything.
Yes.
And so I think that's a modification that's going to have to be.
Yeah, I think that's just gonna have to not even be included, according to how she seems right now, that is just absolutely not, she's not open.
Obviously, our goal is to address as many concerns as possible, you know, and if we can address Ms. Lane's concerns, great. We want her to be a part of this project. We want her to be involved, and we want to make this space something that she wants to utilize. And if that isn't the case,
Right.
again, my goal is to finalize something for this grant application, so that way we can apply for this money, whether we get it or not. I think it's foolish of us to sit on the sidelines when there's free money out there that's available that we could potentially take care of.
What's your deadline?
I would like to have something finalized concept-wise by the middle of May, so that way I can coordinate with my engineer, my city engineer, to get some pricing as far as, you know, because we've got to have, essentially the state, you know, I spoke with Corin Thornton, our DCA representative, earlier this week regarding the grant program. I did, you know, express to her our ideas behind doing both of these proposals, how that ties back into our rural zone, how it ties back into our master plan. She seemed to think that it would be a well-received application, which I thought it would. And she recommended that it be a shovel-ready project with cost figures established, with renderings established, something that this will have to be done, mandated by the grant June 30th of 2024. So if we get this money, we hit the ground running and we get these projects completed within the next 2 years.
So, I know this isn't a public hearing, but just to get Jared's opinion, if we had no more than those 10 spaces, it is a reduction from another 10 or so that are in there. You feel like, I know you're not speaking for all the businesses, but you feel that if a deal was worked out possibly with Nick and the Cook's parking lot, and if we had a better understanding of the First Baptist Church parking lot and the availability after hours or whatever with that, do you feel like, and we had the delivery zone situation worked out, you feel that that would address most of the problems, other than we can't use the space behind Dave's building so much so, and we can't use the space behind Baby Lane, but do you think that would address most of it?
I think if you dedicate a delivery zone, and honestly, if Melissa Lane chooses to not use her property, in my opinion, it makes this a little smaller, but it actually opens up several solutions to bigger problems, because now, worst case scenario, we keep grease bins. Well, we just put those behind the wall that we put up to block our property. Number one, so that keeps the grease bins contained and out of this area altogether. If we obviously are able to put in grease traps, then that particular point doesn't matter. If we dedicate that right side to deliveries only from a certain part of the day, well, now you open these parking spaces back up because you don't need this delivery zone anymore. Yep. So now you probably add maybe 2 more spots back, so now you're at 12. Realistically, anybody with a SUV or larger can't get by the trash dumpsters right now anyway, so it's not like they're using that parking. It's people with small cars. The alleyway that's at the moment is technically a city street is definitely not that. People park in it, stop in it, do whatever. So, I mean, from just my personal and our perspective, extra parking at Cook's probably doesn't benefit us any. I mean, we're pretty good ways away from Cook's. They could just park in our other parking lot at Hometown if they were, be just as close. If we could have some conversation with First Baptist, even if it's, hey, we don't want to open your lot up to the public, but can we at least open it up to a few employees over here? Maybe even give them a tag that states, hangs from their visor, we're an employee, on the square that's affected by this somehow, whatever, and they allow that. Maybe that would be a huge plus.
All right. So I said I was going to talk to them, and I have not done that yet. So
And
I want to have
after our conversation, I did reach out to the people with the other property, and I think that's in the near future probably a possibility, reasonable possibility for more property to open up. But so again, like I said in this meeting before, arguably this probably would negatively affect our business the most of anyone because of the number of employees we have that use this parking lot. Our employees could fill that parking lot up as it is right now if everybody was there at the same time. Carrying trash out, carrying grease out, that's something we do all day, every day, 7 days a week. Deliveries, we get deliveries every day other than the weekends. Every day we get deliveries. Sometimes we get them on Saturdays. So, I still don't think this is something that shouldn't be done. I think we just find a way to fix the problems it causes and that's, and then do it. And that's what, like I said, I think if you open up you block those two, maybe 3 spots off, that solves almost all of the problems, minus the few parking spots you've got to come up with and, of course, the grease situation.
The delivery zone gives us a lot of safety too, with those big trucks.
And I think if this is implemented, it'll generate more traffic downtown.
And obviously that's what we think
More
too.
business.
And you know, Miss Lane had brought up concerns regarding, you know, upkeep and safety, you know, in downtown. Upkeep, I will say this, you know, I told you back in, I think it was March, that we hired a full-time downtown beautification person. That person was a no-call, no-show on the first day, because that is our society day. However, we have hired a full-time person for our downtown beautification technician. Mr. Joe Marston, if you know Mr. Joe, he has owned the Pool Room Cafe for about 15 years. He recently sold the cafe, and he is going to be taking over our downtown beautification position. Mr. Joe is a staple in our community, and he takes pride in downtown, and I think he will do a very, very good job of maintaining and enhancing the current, you know, landscape of downtown Thomaston, particularly making sure trash is picked up, you know, making sure that their grass is cut, making sure that things are maintained the way they should be. You know, I really think Mr. Joe will follow in the footsteps of Mr. Alfonso very well. So that's exciting. So if this is completed, this would be a city maintained area. You know, we would make sure this is kept clean and you know, swept and whatever plantings are decided to be planted back there, trimmed and kept. And then one big thing that we have noted, there are a ton of lights back in here, because we do understand that, you know, there's safety concerns when there's no lighting. It does prove to be a safety issue. So that is one thing where we are looking to put lights not only in the little patio area where the fountain and plantings are, but also kind of going down the alleyway to provide, you know, string the lights across the alleyway to provide that environment that people want to be outside in downtown Thomaston. The biggest issue we have right now is the fact that we have a lot of truck traffic coming through downtown Thomaston, and when you eat outside, you can barely have a conversation because you have tractor trailers going by you at 35 miles an hour. Versus if you have this back of alley space, particularly behind our main two restaurants in downtown, Slices and Sabrosos, it offers a nice change of scenery and change of pace for potential.
And that water will help.
It will.
Fountain will help.
Some type of water feature back there, drowning out some of the tractor trailer traffic. Obviously, if it was up to us, we would not have tractor trailers coming through downtown Thomaston. But GDOT looks at it differently, so we're trying to do our best to work with it. But guys, if you will, kind of look at this, and if you see anything that you know, if you see anything that's like, hey, I don't like that, or hey, what do you think about this? Please let me know, and I'm going to work on getting some stuff back to Anna over the next couple of days on what we can do moving forward.
So the main thing, I think, is that we're, in essence,
Yes.
we're not going to be able to use the space behind the building. So we know, I mean, is there any other major change that you know of? If we, you know, if we could decide not to have the grease traps in the ground, then that would open up the other two spaces.
It would. You know, so we'll say this. Mr. Piper has told me that he wants to clean up the area, and he will work with us, you know, to the best visibility. And that was contingent upon his facade grant, you know, to work with us to the best visibility on how we can enhance this space behind his building. You know, again, we want Miss Lane to be a part of this project. If she chooses not to be, we will continue to move forward with something. So I love this plan. Obviously, I think the plantings, I appreciate you bringing that up, because the Crepe Myrtles do present challenges. So maybe reaching out to a landscape, you know, designer, maybe like Carmen Johnston, and see if she has any recommendations on what might do well in this area. You know, but I can see us maybe reconfiguring the way this kind of patio is, and then doing some type of, you know, brick wall that blocks out Miss Lane.
Do the businesses, will they have the permissions to use this space in
course.
conjunction with their business outlets already there?
Of course. That's the goal. We want this space to be utilized.
Well, I sure would love to have it at my back door. I'd figure out a way to make that work for me. That's going to be a great increase in revenue for all of those businesses if
It's
they
a potential $1 million investment
can.
behind this in
And
this
Taylor,
space.
let me ask you, can you talk to those other businesses about?
So after
if
our
we-
meeting last Friday, I did go by the businesses that weren't there, and I dropped off the renderings, and I spoke with all of them except for Sabroso's, because Priscilla wasn't there at the time. But I spoke to Miss Lisa, I spoke to Tyann, and I shared this all with them, and they seemed to love the idea.
Okay. And remind me on above Dave's space,
Mhm.
how many of those dishes are going to come?
Three.
3 of 4?
And then
So-
one of them will be condensed to a smaller unit.
So there'll be one dish smaller, right? And then
The tower.
The tower.
And in this plan, there is a type of, right now it's like a chain link fence that's around the tower. This plan establishes some type of something a little more aesthetically pleasing that would kind of encompass the tower. Something that can still access the tower for any kind of, work that needs to be done, but something that kind of hides it a little bit better than that chain link fence is back there. Cool. All right. Next on the agenda, just real quick, you don't realize Art and Soul is this weekend. We have a massive weekend set up for us tomorrow night, downtown Thomaston. We have the downtown art walk, sip and stroll hosted by Slices. I believe we have, is it 8 or 10 breweries? 10 breweries, wineries going to be downtown. Georgia Acts throw in live music. We have artists kind of set up throughout downtown businesses, as well as a punch card. We want everyone to visit our artists. So we're doing a punch card where if you go and visit all the artists, get your holes punched, then you have the opportunity to win a little downtown Thomaston prize pack that includes gifts from downtown businesses. Saturday, our first annual Art and Soul Festival, Spring Arts Festival from 10 to 4. We're going to have chalk art competition, live performances, live demonstrations. I've got about right at 50 vendors total with our arts and crafts vendors and food trucks, bouncy houses, kids zone, very family friendly fun event this weekend at Grace Generation Park. So just want to let you guys know, please, I hope to see you there. Been a lot of fun. I'm ready for it to be over. It's going to go great, and we are excited to host the second annual Art and Soul Festival next year. But let's get through this. And then just real quick, coming up after that, we do have the HGTV show airing May 22nd. We have Bragg coming June the 5th, and then Freedom Fest is upcoming July 4th. So it's going to be a busy summer. Any questions, concerns? Real quick, let's go back to item number E on the agenda. You have those paint colors, Ms. Tammy? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glasses on, I can see it all.
Excuse me, that's the dark.
That's the trim.
All right, so this is the dark brown kind
Right,
of on the
the dark
sides right
red,
here.
right.
Cool.
Then you got this is actually
The top.
the main top, and then trusty tan
At the bottom.
is the bottom.
Yeah, what's the top part there?
This one right here, so you got,
I got you.
Oh, that's
this is
pretty.
the top, that's the bottom, and then this would be the trim,
And then the black on it.
and then the black awning.
And the reason we went with the red, I know it's not our company colors, but we actually got the sign, two turners. That's one color of it.
Okay, and that's pretty similar to the colors that you're gonna put on your
That is.
space as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell me how, again, it's going to be illuminated. It is.
Explain that.
Tell me how it's going to be.
Actually, it's gonna be, it's got, you familiar with what a channel letter is?
Like the Ritz,
Huh?
like the Ritz.
The Ritz letters that we put on the front.
Okay.
It's letters just like that, but it's on a 3-inch metal pan. It's 3-inch tubing covered with 080 aluminum sheeting, and then sanded, primed, and painted. And these letters will be illuminated, mounted. Low voltage will be ran through into the inside of the building, tied in to existing power there.
So just are the letters illuminated, or is it the whole?
No, just
whole
the
frame?
letters.
Just the letters.
Just the letters. Now, this will be channel letters, and the phone number's channel letters, right? And then this will be a box, is that what that is?
Yeah, the off Thomaston is so small, can't really make a channel letter, so it'll be, kind of show off something else that we can do in the sign businesses. It'll be like a little box painted to match the sign, letters will be cut out, plastic back, and then LED lights behind that.
Gotcha. Kind of feed through.
Yeah.
We built the one out here by the airport. And that's how it's made. It's got cutout letters with the flex behind it.
Okay.
It'll be done with that.
So Columbus and the phone number will be kind of the channel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the rest of it will not.
See, that's a little bit darker. I like that. That looks a little. Yeah.
And it's
That's the side view of it. You'll have the panel and then the letters mounted out on the front of that.
Darker.
Stands out now, like a darker background.
Yeah.
yes. And do you need the color, the name of the
I can.
color?
What are
It's realist beige.
Is it Sherwin-Williams?
It is.
What's the SW number?
6078, 6087, and 6041. Trusty Tan's the second one, and Otter's the last one.
Here's something that we do. It's actually on the same type pen.
Okay, so like the farmers, so it's, gotcha.
I will say this is a learning process, I think, for our board here. Part of us, or half of us, over half of us, I think, are business owners. When we've had our own sign challenges. So we're all perked up on what the can-dos and the don't-dos of the signs are, because we've been down this same path before ourselves. And then, of course, I think just our dedication to the downtown area, because we're also invested. We are trying to push ourselves beyond what we weren't doing very well for a long time, which signage is one of them. And you guys being in the sign business, I'm sure you can drive around and pick out which ones don't serve us very well. Might be a nice way to put it. So we hate to come across as being too particular about it, but at the end of the day, being a business owner, I think you guys kind of know where we're coming from. We're torn between our DDA district and the ordinances that we all have to follow. You guys are just beyond that in our historical area, and it's interesting to me to learn today that those two ordinances are not similar. And it's interesting to me that in the historical district that we are allowing for illuminated signs when that doesn't seem to be
So
historically.
it's not allowed in the historic district.
It's not allowed in the historic
No,
district.
but it is allowed in the
We're
DDA.
in this. Gotcha.
It is allowed
I got
in
it
DDA,
reversed.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So are we voting?
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I say yeah.
So I got a motion. A second.
Second.
Miss Angie. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. So be on the lookout for an email from me. Realistically, it's probably going to be next Monday or Tuesday. Just with tomorrow being a crazy day for me. But I'll send you an email with kind of the next steps.
Okay.
The first big step is going to be a code enforcement inspection. John will come out and kind of assess if there's any kind of code enforcement violations. A big caveat with the facade grant is your building has to be up to code before we will provide any funding.
Gotcha.
Very simple code enforcement inspection. Don't think it's coming there and look at every single thing, T for T. But that is a way for us to try to address some of the code enforcement issues we have in the community. But after that, this is a reimbursement. So the way it works is I'll come out and you do the work. I'll come back out, I'll inspect it, you provide me the receipt showing you pay for everything, and then we'll reimburse you for the money, okay? All right, be on the lookout for an email from me.
Thanks for being patient.
Thank y'all so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
Thank you.
Real quick in other business, guys, I did want to, number one, I want to recognize council and the mayor and Russell and everyone that on Tuesday night, they have allocated us $50,000 annually for the Facade grant. So we are very thankful for that and very thankful for the city's continued investment into the rejuvenation and revitalization of downtown Thomaston. With that being said, I have spoken with Russell about how the Facade grant process currently is working. As the way I've kind of been running it the past year is as these applications come in, we bring them to the board, they go to the HPC, then they come to DDA, and we just kind of run with it. And I think that works for now, but moving into 2023, what I am thinking is we kind of establish a spring application round and a fall application round. Since we do have the $50,000 now, we could allocate $25,000 for that spring round, $25,000 for that fall round, and then that give us some real time to work with these property owners to fully flesh out any Facade grant applications. It gives us time to get everything approved by the HPC board. Because this wouldn't stop that process. They would have to come before HPC and get their approval. But as far as like us voting on Facade grant, applications, maybe we set a April date as our spring. We have to receive them by April, and we hear them the April meeting, and then same thing maybe October or fall. October or November. I did want to get y'all's input on that, just as a kind of way. With everything we have going on, it is a little taxing trying to pull all of this together every single month. So if I was able to have some kind of like structured, this is the application, this is when it's due, this is your timeline, this is the schedule, it might help things run a little smoother.
So let me ask you, if I misunderstand something, let me know.
Okay.
But let's just say somebody came in with a business in January and say, I want to be up and going by April. But for some reason, there had already been a number of applications that soaked up the $25,000. As long as they went through the process and got approved by the HPC, and that, would they be able to say, hey, I've completed the setup?
That is completely up to you.
And then apply in the fall group to say, I may be delayed in getting it, but because what I want to, there's a certain momentum that's going here, and I want to encourage people to say, hey, I wasn't going to do something, but if I can get $5,000 help, I'll be willing to do a little more. And I hate because, they wanted to get in business by summer or something, and they don't.
I wouldn't split the amounts. I just have two
Applicant.
enrollments, and
then
if we exhaust, the
50,000
50,000
in
of the
spring.
spring, then
It's just exhausted. You have to try.
I don't see that happening. But
Right.
one thing I wanted to mention: we tabled, or we did not approve, or postpone voting on one particular Facade grant. If we
Palmer?
circle back up, and
His wife reached out to me back in March, and she kind of told me some of the issues they have with their property. And I told her to get with me and let's kind of set a date for us to come out there and look at it and maybe answer some of our questions. And I have not heard from her since then.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was on our plate to get back with them, or.
I will follow back up with them next week once I'm through.
And do we
Alright,
feel
so-
like our application process needs any adjustments? Do we feel like we are getting
One
a
question.
proper?
I feel like when it comes across, now that we know that there's a difference in certain things, it would be handy to know before we go and vote, because there's nothing we can say, because there's no way that would have passed if it were within. But because there's nothing we can say because it's not against the ordinance.
Right.
There's no reason to not pass that. But going forward, before it comes across, that would be something we would need to know, like what they're being held to. because I was
What
under
if
the
I-
assumption that that was for the entire area of the DDA.
Me too.
And it's just the historic district. So what if I had, maybe a one pager of sign what you can and can't do within the DDA, and then sign what you can and can't do within the HPC?
That would be very helpful.
And I think that I don't want us to go to all this work and feel like we've not made noticeable changes in our signage with regard to the DDA. So, I would even maybe want to modify that ordinance so that we're a little bit more in sync. We've got a large DDA span.
That's
If we're going to
massive.
let half of it
I agree.
have double signs and half of them, not, then we've still got a downtown district that's not working in concert together.
Piecemeal.
And again, like I said, it would be fine if you're seeing this space from two different angles.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you need to know what that business is coming from one area
From
than
the
the
west
other,
or
that's
coming from the
different.
east.
But that sign literally said signs.
Yeah.
So, it's not for us to say we don't like it
Yeah.
and say no, because
Right.
it's within the ordinance.
Right.
There's no
Right.
reason not to. But going forward, I'm with Lane. If it's not for everyone, then we're gonna have to tell a business owner why.
Yeah.
Well, and let me just say that in all this zoning ordinance that's just been redone, the idea is, you got the downtown area and overlaid on that is the historic preservation area. And the whole idea was that you can begin to control what is done, and there's kind of a blending out. As you get further away, you get into more industrial type things like that. So the philosophy and the thought process there was that we want some consistency what we see, and then it will blend out. And if you want such and such type space, then you're going to have to be further out where there's more things allowed.
not-
So
Those signs look like they fit in our north side
Mhm.
C2
area.
commercial area.
yeah. So the question is, if we feel, hey, on further reflection, we think, gosh, is that too close in? And do we think that we would want to make, really think it out? I think when this sign gets there, we're going to think that it's appropriate and it looks okay. The only question we have is it too close to town? And that blending, is it all of a sudden going to say, God, we got there pretty quick? And the question is, if we get to the point where we want to say, we want to begin to consider a modification
Yeah.
to what's allowed within a certain distance, and say, you got to be out. And it does seem more.
And I'm about consistency. I say that over and over. We can't allow one. And now the second person that comes to us that now wants two signs, now we've got to allow them we're not drawing any line in the sand that says,
And I would love to be able to do more with my space. I want it to be historical, but I want it to be modern enough that you know what it is. I don't want it to be so restrictive that we're crushing creativity and just the individualism of the business. I was just talking to Taylor about that. But on the other hand,
I got a kid sitting at the bus stop. I gotta go. Bye.
I don't want it to be 20 signs on. We've got to find like a good. But yeah, in the future, that would be something that would be very helpful, because that would have been a no had we not known.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
I agree.
But on the other hand, I think we wished it were different, but on the other hand, there's nothing that prevents it, and it's their right to ask for it, so.
Yeah. And I think we need to be more clear and specific when we're explaining it. And like it was new to me.
By the way, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Remember, they were only applying for one sign anyway, so it kind of.
Yeah, it wasn't
It
even,
was invalid council.
I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay, but you know, it's just being very clear and specific when you're presenting.
Yeah.
And that way everybody is on the same page.
You know, and hopefully, you know, the zoning ordinances and all sign ordinance, it's all kind of a living document, and that if we see something that we think ought to be reconsidered, there's nothing wrong with that.
There is not, and we can.
well, once seeing like their actual paint choices in person and the sign that like fit with that, it looked great. But it looked completely different than
Than what
what
was-
the markup was giving. But, yeah, that's all I have. That's it.
All right, guys, I'm going to have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All right, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 3:20. Appreciate you guys coming. Hope to see you guys this weekend.
And I was gonna ask you, did you check on tables?
Yes, I'm going to have 7 for you, and I'll have 1 for my guest services, because I'm going to be up there.
Okay,
7 work.
yes. And then,
We'll have barricades, we'll have the street blocked off. We
oh,
got the restrooms.
is there gonna be
located.
like a map where they can see where art is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I just finished that before this meeting.
Okay,
I actually have Kieran print me 500 of them.
okay, and actually, another winery just called me yesterday, so if I did need one more table, would it be a problem to ask you? Will you check on that? I could probably move some people around, because I think technically we have a table for the beer trailer right now. It actually is.
Can I, look at your email and the letter, the document that was attached? Now, I put from 8 to 1 Saturday,
Okay.
and where do I meet you at?
So I'll be up there at 7 a.m.
Okay,
So
at Generation
at Generation
Park?
Park, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So if you want to call me, then I'll be up there. You can't miss me.
Well, I get up early anyway, so.
My mama does too.
Actually, we should be fine.
Think so?
Well.
I just told them 9 tables.
Okay,
If we got an
that's
extra
fine.
one, it's okay.
No, never mind, because I didn't just count because I was counting a table for check-in too for
Yeah.
us.
Okay.
So I see you in,
So one more
Saturday
table.
morning.
All right. Okay, I got you.
So, whatever you need,
Thank you, ma'am.
because like I said, I get up early anyway, so. Now, I usually go for my walk about 8:30, but I'll postpone to that.
Well, you'll be able to walk some at the
Yeah.
park.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Miss Angie.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Man, you getting excited? Are you about to warm yourself out already?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is, man. Well, I got another meeting in damn 40 minutes for my volunteers, and then I got Russell's coach band helping him coach Little League baseball. So we got a 6 o'clock game tonight.
You got a lot on your plate.
Oh man, I know. I just gotta get through this week. I got a conference next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the next week I'm moving my girlfriend here from Louisiana. So
About time.
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's exciting.
Yeah, found a house out on 9th Avenue over in Silvertown, and I'm flying out there Wednesday the 4th, and getting the U-Haul, and then we're gonna pack up the 5th, and then leave out that Friday and drive.
That's awesome.
Great areas.
Wait, who's Little League are you coaching?
I'm helping Russell
Are you?
coach Ellis.
That's hilarious.
8 and under. So we had our first game Monday. Yeah, when I went to Athens, Monday we had our first game. Came back from Athens, home, showered, drove to Barnesville for the game. Then we lost 10-0.
Oh, gosh.
They murdered us. It was bad. It was bad. They were not good. They were not good.
Oh, is that the reason why Russell
Russell
has
Russell was like, can you help me? Of course, when the guy that signed the paychecks, said, hey, can you help me? He said, sure. No, whatever you need.
Be happy to.
Exactly. What's going on with you, man?
Not a whole lot.
Staying busy?
Not really.
Come on now.
Nah, I'll be busy this weekend though. I'll be covering a lot of what's going on this weekend. And the thing that's irritating me about it is that the Civic Center has scheduled their Earth Day stuff on the same day.